Imagine for a moment that you are the richest man in the world. It is 1987. You have founded Microsoft. You have changed the way the human species communicates. You have a personal fortune that is growing by millions of dollars every single hour. You can buy countries. You can buy islands. You can buy anything. Except this car. You buy it anyway. You pay $225,000 for it, a price that, adjusted for inflation, is over $500,000 today. You ship it to the United States. It arrives at the port of San Francisco. You go to pick it up. And the United States Customs Service says, no. They don't just say no, they seize the car. They lock it in a bonded warehouse, and they tell you that if you try to take it on the road, they will crush it into a cube of scrap metal. This isn't a story about a speeding ticket. This is the story of Bill Gates and his 13-year war against the United States government. A war fought over a car so advanced, so complex, and so fast that the American legal system literally did not have a category for it. This is the story of the Porsche 959, the car that was banned from America, the car that sat in a shipping container for a decade, and the car that forced Congress to rewrite the laws of the road. To understand why the government was so afraid of this car, we first have to look at why it exists. The 1980s were a time of excess. In the automotive world, this excess was defined by one thing: Group B rally. Group B was a racing series with almost no rules. Manufacturers could build anything. They could use any material. They could use any engine. The only requirement was that they had to build 200 road-legal versions of the race car to sell to the public. This is called homologation. Porsche looked at Group B and saw an opportunity. They didn't just want to build a fast 911. They wanted to build a spaceship. They wanted to build a car that would define the next 20 years of automotive engineering. They started with the chassis of a standard 911, but that is where the similarities ended. The body was not steel. It was a composite of Kevlar and fiberglass reinforced plastic. The nose was polyurethane. The doors and hood were aluminum. It was lighter than air, yet stronger than steel. The engine was a masterpiece, a 2.85-liter flat six. But unlike every other Porsche before it, this engine had water-cooled cylinder heads. Why? Because it produced so much heat, air cooling wasn't enough. It had sequential twin turbochargers. This is a critical detail. In the 1980s, turbos were blunt instruments. You hit the gas, waited 3 seconds, and then the power exploded, usually sending you into a tree. Porsche fixed this. They used a small turbo for low speeds and a massive turbo for high speeds. The result was a seamless wave of power. But the real magic was the PSK, the Porsche Steuer coupling. It was the most advanced all-wheel drive system ever created. It could shift power from the rear wheels to the front wheels in milliseconds. It didn't use gears. It used wet clutches controlled by a computer in 1986. The car could hit 197 miles per hour. It could do 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. To put that in perspective, the Ferrari F40, its main rival, was a go-kart with a V8. It had no radio, no door handles, no carpets. The Porsche 959 had air conditioning. It had leather seats. It had a sound system. It was a hypercar that you could drive to the grocery store in a blizzard. It was perfect. And that was the problem. Porsche built 292 of them. They were sold out instantly. Bill Gates bought one. Paul Allen, his Microsoft co-founder, bought one. Jerry Seinfeld bought one. But when Porsche looked at the United States market, they hit a wall. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the EPA have strict rules. To sell a car in America, you must prove it is safe. How do you prove it is safe? You have to crash it. The Department of Transportation required Porsche to hand over 4 Porsche 959s to be smashed into concrete walls for crash testing. Porsche did the math. They had only built 292 cars. Each one was sold for a loss. It cost Porsche more than $500,000 to build a car they sold for $225,000. They built these cars for glory, not profit. To destroy 4 of them, it was financial suicide. It was also sacrilege. So Porsche made a decision. They said to the US government, no. They decided not to federalize the car. They would not sell the 959 in the United States. But Bill Gates didn't care. He bought one in Europe, he put it on a boat, and he assumed that being Bill Gates meant the rules didn't apply. He was wrong. When the ship arrived in San Francisco, customs agents checked the manifest. They saw Porsche 959. They checked their list of approved vehicles. It wasn't there. The car was seized. It was declared non-conforming. Now, usually when a car is non-conforming, you have 2 choices. Choice A, you export it back to where it came from. Choice B, you let the government destroy it. Bill Gates chose option C, stalemate. The car was moved to a customs bond warehouse. This is a secure facility. It's a prison for cargo, and there the silver Porsche 959 sat. Paul Allen's Porsche 959 was also there. Imagine this, the 2 smartest men in the tech world, men who were inventing the future of software, and their dream cars are sitting in a dark, dusty warehouse just a few miles away. They can go visit them, they can look at them, but they cannot take them out. The cars sat there for a year, then 2 years, then 5 years, then 10. While the cars were gathering dust, the legend of the 959 grew. Why were these billionaires fighting so hard? Why not just buy a Lamborghini Countach? Because the 959 wasn't just a car, it was a computer. The 959 had sensors in the wheels to detect slip. It had ride height adjustment. At high speeds, the car would automatically lower itself by 1.2 inches to reduce drag. It had a G-low gear for off-roading. Yes, off-roading. This supercar was designed to win the Paris-Dakar rally. It could drive through 3 feet of mud, then hit 200 miles per hour on the Autobahn. It also had hollow-spoke magnesium wheels. This is a detail most people miss. Porsche engineers realized that the tire pressure monitoring system, which they invented for this car, needed space inside the wheel, so they cast the spokes of the wheels to be hollow. The air chamber for the tire extended into the spokes. It was engineering madness. And the exhaust? It was stainless steel, filled with rare metals to manage the heat of the sequential turbos. To Bill Gates, this wasn't a vehicle, it was a kindred spirit. It was a machine that proved software could control hardware. It was the physical embodiment of the Microsoft philosophy, intelligence over brute force. He wasn't going to let the government crush it. We are about to explain how Bill Gates changed federal law to get his car back, but first, if you are enjoying this deep dive into the legal and mechanical battles of automotive history, please hit that subscribe button and the like button. We are on a mission to document these forbidden machines before the stories are lost. Your support helps us dig through the archives. Now, back to the legal battle. After a decade of paying storage fees, Gates and Allen realized that they couldn't win in court. The law was clear. The car was illegal. It didn't have US spec bumper, it didn't have US spec headlights, it hadn't been crashed. So if you can't follow the law, you change the law. They hired a team of high-powered lobbyists in Washington, D.C. They teamed up with other car collectors, including Otis Chandler, the publisher of the Los Angeles Times. They formed a coalition. Their argument was simple. These cars are not daily drivers. We're not going to take them to work in them. We're not going to take the kids to school in them. They are works of art. They are historical artifacts. They belong in a museum or a private collection, just like a Picasso painting. They drafted a new piece of legislation. It was called the Show or Display Exemption. The proposed law said if a car is historically or technologically significant, and if fewer than 500 were ever produced, it should be exempt from crash testing. It wasn't a free pass. The law came with strict rules. Rule 1. You cannot drive the car more than 2,500 miles per year. Rule 2. You must ask the NHTSA for permission before you sell it. Rule 3. It must be stored properly. It was a brilliant legal maneuver. It framed the car not as a danger to the public, but as a cultural treasure that the government was suppressing. The lobbying took years, but money and influence have a way of moving mountains. In 1999, Congress passed the Show or Display Amendment. It was tucked into a larger transportation spending bill. President Bill Clinton signed it into law. Suddenly, the doors of the customs warehouse in San Francisco unlocked. After 13 years of darkness, Bill Gates's Porsche 959 saw the sun. The car was loaded onto a transporter. It was delivered to Seattle. But the story doesn't end there, because sitting for 13 years is terrible for a car. The seals dry out, the fuel turns to varnish. The complex hydraulic system for the suspension, which runs at massive pressure, starts to leak. Bill Gates couldn't just turn the key and drive away. Bruce Canepa is a legendary car restorer based in Scottsville, California. He's the Porsche whisperer. He's the man who federalizes the 959s. Even with the show or display law, the cars still had to meet EPA emission standards. The law exempted them from safety, crash testing, but not from smog testing. Canepa engineered a solution. He rebuilt the 959s. He upgraded the turbos. He installed modern catalytic converters. He re-engineered the engine management system. He didn't just make them legal, he made them better. Today, a Canepa 959 is faster than the original. Canepa offers a Generation 3 upgrade that pushes the horsepower from 444 to 800. Think about that. A car designed in 1986, now producing 800 horsepower, legal to drive on US streets, all thanks to a law parceled by Bill Gates. The show or display law didn't just save the 959, it opened the floodgates for the greatest cars in the world. Because of Bill Gates, you can now import a McLaren F1. You can import a Jaguar XJ220. You can import a Bugatti EB110. Before this law, these cars were forbidden fruit. If you saw one in America, it was illegal. It was a gray market car, living in the shadows, waiting to be crushed. Now, they are the crown jewels of Car Week in Monterey. The 959 was a victim of its own brilliance. It was too fast for the 1980s, it was too complex for the NHTA, and it was too expensive to crash. Bill Gates proved that with enough patience and enough money, you can beat the system. But it also proved something else. It proved that a car can be more than transportation. It can be art, it can be history, and it can be worth fighting for. Today, Bill Gates still owns his 959. It is rarely seen, but every time a McLaren F1 drives down the street in Miami or Los Angeles, it is driving on the pavement paved by Bill Gates's lawyers. So, was it worth it? 13 years of waiting for a car? If you've ever heard the twin turbos of a 959 spool up, you know the answer. Let us know in the comments. If you had unlimited money, what illegal car would you change the law to own? A Skyline R34? A TVR? Or the 959? And if you want to know about the underwater ghost, the $40 million Chrysler Norseman dissolving at the bottom of the Atlantic, make sure you're subscribed for our next deep dive.